You ever just feel powerless? I think we've all been there. But what if I told you that you have access to a rulebook, a guide specifically designed to define, limit, and balance power in every single part of your life? Well, that rulebook is the law. And in this explainer, we're going to show you how knowing just a few of its rules can change the game completely.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a question. Who really has more power? You or your boss? You or the state? I mean, on the surface, it feels like a pretty one-sided fight, doesn't it?
But here's the thing. The law steps in and says, hold on a minute. It's supposed to be the great equalizer, a set of rules that applies to absolutely everyone, from the person who just got hired to the CEO, from you and me to the highest government official. It's all about setting boundaries.
So let's start where a lot of us feel these power dynamics every single day, at work. And this isn't some abstract academic idea. These are the real, practical rules that govern your rights from 9 to 5.
So picture this nightmare scenario. You get called into the office and bam, you're fired. No real reason given, no warning. It just feels totally unfair. So what can you do? Do you have any rights here? The answer is a big, resounding yes.
This brings us to a super important concept called due process. Think of it like a two-part security system for your job. First, your employer needs a valid reason, a just or authorized cause. That's part one. But part two is just as crucial. They also have to follow a fair procedure. They can't just skip the steps. They have to do both.
And that procedure? It has a name, the Twin Notice Rule. It's basically two official warnings. First, you have to get a written notice that clearly states the problem and, this is key, gives you a real chance to explain your side. Then after you've had that chance to be heard, you get a second written notice with the final decision. No surprises, no ambiguity. It's your right to a fair shake.
Okay, let's switch gears to another really high-stakes situation. An amazing job offer comes along, to work overseas. It sounds like a dream come true, but we've all heard the horror stories. So how does the law protect you from a scam that could completely upend your life?
Well, the law draws a very, very bright line here. It's simple. If someone is recruiting you for a job abroad, they absolutely must have a license from the government, from Dole. It doesn't matter how professional they seem or what promises they make, no license means it's illegal recruitment. End of story.
And get this, the law takes this so seriously that there's a specific number that makes the crime even worse. If an unlicensed recruiter scams just 3 people, it's not just a regular crime anymore. It gets elevated to illegal recruitment in large scale, and the law treats that as economic sabotage. That single number, 3, is the line that turns a serious offense into a major threat to the whole economy.
All right, let's zoom out from the office and talk about your rights as a citizen, especially when you're dealing with the power of the state.
This quote right here gets to the absolute core of your freedom of expression. Let's break down what it actually means. Basically, the law's default setting is that you are free to speak. If the government wants to shut you up beforehand, the burden is on them to prove why it's absolutely necessary. And that is a very, very high bar to clear.
And this is a really critical difference to understand. Prior restraint is censorship, pure and simple. The government stopping you before you speak. The law hates that. On the other hand, subsequent punishment is about accountability. You can say what you want, but that doesn't mean you're immune to the consequences if you break a law, like say by committing libel.
Okay, another big one. When can the police just waltz into your home and start going through your stuff? The rulebook is incredibly strict about this.
Think of your home as a fortress, and for law enforcement to get past the gate, they need a special key, a search warrant. And getting one is not easy. There has to be probable cause, a real reason. A neutral judge has to be the one who's convinced, not the police. And the warrant can't just be a free-for-all. It has to be incredibly specific about exactly where they can look and what they can take. Every single one of these rules is a check on power.
So it's great to know your rights, but what good are they if you can't enforce them? I mean, rights written on a piece of paper are pretty useless if you can't hold power accountable, right?
So, back to that job scenario. If you think you were fired illegally, you don't just go argue with your old boss. The rulebook points you to a specific official, a labor arbiter. This person is like a referee, empowered by the law to hear both sides and make a call based on the rules we've been talking about.
Now, this is something you absolutely need to know. Your rights can have an expiration date.
Seriously, for an illegal dismissal case, you have 4 years to file your complaint. But for other unfair labor practices, it's just 1 year. You have to know these deadlines, because if you wait too long, your right to file a claim could be gone for good.
And this is where you see the real teeth of the law. If a labor arbiter says you were illegally fired and orders you to be reinstated, your employer has to give you your job back right away. Even if they're going to appeal the decision, the law doesn't make you wait around. It's designed to get you back to work.
So we've gone through rules for your job, rules for your rights as a citizen. What's the big picture here? It's that the law and the power that comes with it is ultimately meant to be in your hands.
You see? Whether it's the twin notice rule making sure you get a fair shake at work or the strict warrant requirement protecting your privacy at home, the law provides a clear framework. It's designed to replace arbitrary power with a predictable, fair process for everyone.
So really, here's the bottom line. Life is a game, in a way, and the law is the ultimate rulebook. You don't have to be a lawyer to play. Just knowing the basic rules is your first and most powerful step. And we'll just leave you with this final thought. All these rights we've talked about, they exist. They are written down in black and white. So the only question left is, how are you going to bring them to life?